Welcome in, joined by Justin Spears, Arizona football beat writer for the Arizona Daily Star. You can find his work at Tucson.com and or give him a follow at Justin E. Spears on X/Twitter. Justin, I'm curious what you've seen out of this Arizona program with Brett Brennan going into year two. Obviously, year one was a tough transition. I
Yeah.
feel like Colorado fans could kind of sympathize with what Arizona went through with Jed Fish leaving and kind of breaking the hearts of Wildcats Nation because Mel Tucker did something similar to the Buffs back in 2019. What have you seen out of this program since he took over?
Yeah, year one was rough. And, it got off to such a promising start because, he was able to retain guys like Noah Fafita, their quarterback, and wide receiver Tetaroa McMillan, who we see, making plays for the Carolina Panthers this year, and also Jonah Savianaya, who became a second round offensive lineman for, the Wildcats. So, this is a team that they were able to keep the band together. They were able to maintain the guys that led them to a 10-win season in 2023, and they were able to keep a lot of those guys on board. Now, unfortunately for Arizona, that kind of hurt the Wildcats because, or hurt, I should say, the start of the Brent Brennan era because now we're talking about Arizona going from being a a team that was expected to maybe lose some guys in the portal, and now all of a sudden, okay, they're keeping the guys from the 2023 season, and so now there's expectations, right? And usually in year one for a coach, you don't really have those expectations. And unfortunately for Arizona, they had the expectations. They're going into a new conference. Yes, they are the new guys in the block, but they're expected to make some noise in the first year in the league. And they dealt with a bunch of adversity. They had all sorts of injuries starting to pile up at key positions, especially on the offensive line and on defense. They had three defensive captains suffer season-ending injuries last year. And so it was just really a perfect storm for a messy season. And you can honestly make an argument that Brent Brennan would have been better if guys like Noah Fafita and Tetaroa McMillan and all those guys left, because then you don't have the expectation. So then you can justify going 4-8 in year one. And so they learned a lot along the way. And this, the offensive staff last year wasn't a right fit for Noah Fafita and the other players that they had, and it was just a rough year for Arizona. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't really do anything. They were one dimensional. Noah Fafita tied for the most interceptions in the Big 12, and it just wasn't a good fit. And then so Brent Brennan spent time in the offseason getting the right coaching staff in place. They were able to bring in this young up and coming play caller by the name of Seth Dagey, who has been really the perfect match for Noah Fafita. And if you look at the numbers between last year and this year, Noah Fafita is on track to have a much better year. I mean, the interceptions are significantly down. He's, I'm not over here trying to improvise and trying to make something out of nothing. There's more designed runs for him as well. The offensive play calling is just much better for Noah Fafita, which is crazy to think because now they don't have Tetaroa McMillan this year. But Noah has looked cleaner. He looks more like the player that we saw from 2023. And then, they brought in Joe Salavea on the defensive line. He's a coach that is renowned. He played for Dick Tomey in the Desert Swarm era in the 90s, is one of the more renowned defensive line coaches in college football, working for Mario Cristobal at Miami and also Oregon. And getting him to come back was maybe the biggest coaching hire for Arizona in the offseason. And then they promoted Danny Gonzalez from defensive coordinator from linebackers coach to defensive coordinator. And Arizona's defense has made a significant jump. I mean, they were one of the worst defenses in the Big 12 last year. And now we're talking about them being one of the best and having really like a top 20 or top 30 defense. They do need to clean up the run. They gave up 490 rushing yards against BYU and Houston, and majority of those runs came from their powerful running back and also their powerful quarterback. That's going to look a little different against Colorado. But I think the defense, all in all, has really taken a huge step forward this season. So, long answer to kind of wrap it all up. I think that this offseason was used to get all of the right pieces in place with the coaching staff. And then they also spent a lot of time in the transfer portal, getting guys from the group of five, getting, some FCS players that are really making some, impactful plays for Arizona. They added 60 newcomers. I think Colorado can definitely relate to that. 60 newcomers, and they have a really high hit rate. It's really at a very interesting point right now in this season because they're 4-3. They're a couple plays away from being 6-1. They're coming off a bye week and playing against a struggling Colorado team, a team that they should beat. But Colorado is also a really tough out at home. So this is a really tough challenge for Arizona, and we'll see, just what this team is made of coming out of a bye week. And, if they don't lose this, or if they lose this game, then it's going to get really interesting because the expectation for Arizona this year is to get to a bowl game. And if they can't beat Colorado on the road, that those percentages or those odds of getting to a bowl game obviously get smaller. So it's going to be an interesting game coming up here on Saturday in Boulder.
Yeah, you've got two teams that are, I would say Colorado is a little bit more desperate for a win than Arizona, but still, like you said, you're 4-3 and you're coming off two really difficult losses for the Wildcats, games that I'm sure a lot of Wildcats fans, could have easily envisioned being wins for them. Noah Fafita, this is going to be his third time going up against the Buffs. I can't remember the last time in this transfer portal era I've uh, had an opposing quarterback come to play Colorado that has gone up against them three times. So uh, he's really kind of stuck through some challenges like you mentioned there. Who are the guys outside of Fafita that Buffs fans maybe are not all that familiar with? They should go to Folsom Field, keeping an eye on Saturday.
Well, I mean, if you look at just kind of the matchup and, Colorado struggling to stop the run, right? We saw that last week against Utah. Now, in Colorado's defense, I mean, Utah has millions of dollars invested in their offensive line, right? I mean, Utah is known to run the football and play that kind of brand. But Arizona has to look at that like, okay, Colorado, I mean, they can't really stop the run, so let's run the football. And running the football on the road has been an issue for Arizona since Brent Brennan started at Arizona. I mean, Arizona, they're 1-6 right now in road games under Brent Brennan. And when you look at the common denominator, they've really struggled to run the football. They did a much better job against Houston last game, but I do think that the running attack is going to be at a premium against Colorado. And, the two running backs that are leading the way are Ismail Mahdi, the Texas State transfer. He's number 21. And also Kedrick Reesano, who's been banged up this year, but got, a lot of snaps against Houston and was able to score a touchdown there in the second half. So keep an eye on those two guys, Ismail Mahdi and Kedrick Reesano. And as far as, the guys that Noah is throwing to, because remember, no Tetairoa McMillan, T-Mac is playing for the Panthers, and Noah Fafita and T-Mac, they have been teammates since they were in middle school. I mean, from the time they were in the 8th grade until last year, they were teammates. Whenever Noah Fafita was on the field playing quarterback, he had his longtime buddy as his top wide receiver. How is that going to look once that is gone? And we all wondered that. But the wide receiver room, I think, is deep. They have a couple of freshmen in Isaiah Mizell and Gio Richardson that have, kind of ascended lately. But the wide receivers that Buff fans need to pay attention to, look at number 12 in Trey Spivey, the third. His father, Junior Spivey, played for the Arizona Diamondbacks. So Trey comes from a Major League Baseball background, but he is all 6'4". He can jump up and make some plays at the sideline. But, he also broke off for a 70-yard touchdown run against Houston. And then he also had a jet sweep touchdown in the second half. Get this, Trey Spivey, I mean, he's kind of got that Chris Carter effect where all he does is catch touchdowns. He's got 6 touchdowns this year on 11 offensive touches. So it's like every other time that Trey Spivey is touching the ball, he's scoring a touchdown. He's really been an impactful player for the Wildcats lately, and he's a name that I think that Colorado fans should pay attention to.
You touched on Colorado having home field advantage, uh, but also Arizona's favored in this football game. Uh, we're recording this on Tuesday afternoon. What are kind of your feelings about how this game might shake out on Saturday, assuming that maybe those thoughts could change a little bit as you get a little bit closer to game day, but just kind of your early thoughts about this matchup.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Just because Colorado, in their quarterback situation, are they going to stick with Caden Salter or are they going to go with Staub? Um, I'm really wondering what that quarterback dynamic is going to look like. And then, the last two games, Arizona really struggled with quarterback power. Caden Salter is not like Bear Bachmeier, and he's not like Connor Wegman, but he's also athletic, and we've seen him make some runs this year. So I'm wondering, how is Colorado going to scheme up their quarterback run game against Arizona? And then, with kind of the current situation with Colorado, it just seems like they're kind of trending downwards right now, but they've also have an impressive home record, and they've done well against really good teams this year at home. Teams that are better than Arizona, quite frankly. So, yeah, this is a tough one, man, because like I want to sit there and say that, Arizona is going to go in after a bye week and they're going up against a beaten up Colorado team that just got their asses handed to them by Utah. But, Colorado is also at, the crossroads of their season because if they win, they could really turn things around and maybe get to a bowl game. And, while the Deion Sanders era has been really exciting, it's going to be tough to sit there and say, man, Deion missed out on two bowl games in 3 years. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that they have a really good offensive lineman in Jordan Seaton, who's one of the top offensive linemen in the Big 12. And Arizona is missing their, star defensive end in Trey Smith. So how are the edge rushers going to look up against a guy like Jordan Seaton? So that's going to be something that I'm paying attention to. But yeah, I think that Arizona should win this game, and I think Arizona will win. But boy, Colorado's a tough out at home. So I think that it's going to be a one possession game no matter what. But I think coming off a bye week, I'll give the slight advantage to the Arizona Wildcats.
It's crazy covering the Big 12. It feels like every week it's more important for both teams, right? Like depending on your perspective of things, it's you've got a lot of teams that still have goals in front of them, and some of them like Colorado now that kind of have their backs against the wall, and Arizona might be a little bit in better position, but certainly they've suffered a couple tough losses, so it's Big 12 living, in terms of a beat writer. And Justin, great stuff. I hope you have great travels out to Colorado. And I'm going to come say hi in the press box on Saturday. I'm looking forward to, a good football game there at Folsom Field. And we've had a lot of post 8 p.m. starts for Colorado this season. So 5 p.m. sounds just fine to me.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to. I mean, last time I was there, the sun was out at Folsom Field, and I got a chance to open up the windows up in the press box, and
Yeah.
I mean, just taking it all in. That is one of my favorite college football atmospheres. Going down to kind of like that like farmhouse area where like all the fans kind of congregate and meet up. You got the band that's playing. It's a cool atmosphere, man. It really is.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to get back out there. And the kickoff gods have blessed Arizona because we haven't had a lot of 7 p.m. kickoffs. It's been,
Okay.
1 p.m., 4 p.m., 5
Oh,
p.m. It's been like in that sweet spot. I think it's like seven Arizona. If you add in their game against Kansas next week, it's like seven straight games where the kickoff is either 6 p.m. or earlier. So we've been blessed this year with the Arizona Wildcats. I'm super excited to get out to Boulder. I will say this though, I do this food series called This Ain't Tucson, and I review restaurants that are in that area, places that you can't find anywhere else. I did the Sink last time. What do you recommend that I review this time around?
Well, we're gonna get some recommendations in the comments, and I'll forward those on to you. Are you talking Boulder?
Yes, Boulder, Colorado.
You know, a spot that's near and dear to a lot of folks around here is the Dark Horse. If you like, I mean, it's not really a typical dive bar slash restaurant, but it is kind of the mecca of that. It's a really cool historic building with decorations everywhere and great burgers, great wings. Um, yeah, I would recommend the Dark Horse for just something that's kind of original. If you enjoyed the Sink, you're going to enjoy the Dark Horse. It's similar but different enough to make it worthwhile to go there. That would be my main recommendation for you. But
Okay,
we'll see what folks want to put in the comments. But
let's do it.
the dark horse is definitely, and you know, this is a restaurant that might have to be relocated in the future. They're still kind of fighting over some zoning things with campus and some new student housing. So it's like every opportunity I get to go to the dark horse, I try to take advantage of it. I don't know if you've ever had a burger with peanut butter on it.
I love that.
Okay,
Yes.
the Jiffy Burger. Go to the Dark
Yes.
Horse, get a Jiffy Burger, and you're gonna enjoy that. You will.
Okay. Lindy's down here in Tucson, Arizona on 4th Avenue. It's like the main street where people go and party and hang out. They have a burger that's called the Blue Suede Cow, named after
Okay.
Elvis, and they got peanut butter on it. So, yes, I am there and I am happy to
Okay.
try that.
And I'm gonna try that the next time I'm in Tucson. So I appreciate
Absolutely,
that
man.
as well. Thanks, Justin. Thanks for taking the time out to do this.
Anytime, guys.